Hey guys, Jonathan here. Blade's not here to say it, so howdy howdy. Welcome to Beers and Gears. We've got a good episode coming up here. Good guest coming on. And yeah, this is Jonathan and Jonathan of the Beers and Gears podcast. See you in a bit. Hey, where you going? Where you going? Get over here. Don't forget to go down there and like, comment, and subscribe, alright?
Driver, start your engines. Get all strapped in. The nerves are there till I flip that switch and it all goes away. Nothing in the world can get to me when I'm on that track. There's nothing else that matters. Just going fast and turning laps, just trying to move forward. I could go skydiving or bungee jump, the adrenaline still doesn't compare. Taking that left turn fast as you can, the give and take, the bump, the bang. Trying to be the first to get to that checkered flag. I just wanna race my race. You gotta be fast or you're the worst. You gotta be fast or you're gonna get your just wanna race my race. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Are you all ready? Get ready to rumble. That ball's best tight. You feel the rumble of the crowd as the cars go speeding by. All the dirt in the air, the smell of tires, cars passing back and forth. See the excitement, the pain, the sadness, the joy, the failures and the triumph. Whoa, feel the victory closing in. Yeah. Ain't nothing like it in the world. Well, let's race my race. Crack a beer afterwards. I just wanna race my race. Lots of full left turns. Get that flag stand on that roof. Whoa, I just wanna race my race. I just wanna race. Win or lose, gonna have fun either way. Whoa, I just wanna race my race. I just wanna race to beer afterwards. Whoa, I just wanna race my race. I just wanna race. You gotta be faster, you're the worst. You gotta be faster, you're gonna get past. I just wanna race my race. If you can't be the show, right? Take a chance. You gotta be fast or you're the worst. You gotta be fast or you're gonna get your ass.
And we're back. Beers and Gears, episode 7. I'm Blade.
I'm Jonathan.
Wes Digman,
Wes Digman's here. So, where are you from, Wes?
Cuba City, Wisconsin.
Same place as always, kind of?
Same place as always. Born and raised, grew up, same place.
Same place. So I asked these first couple questions to every people we have, or guest we have in here. What was your first racing experience? How old do you think you were? About
I want to say I was like five or six.
5 or 6.
My dad used to take me to Farley. He had a group of friends that had one of the suites on the front stretch.
Gotcha.
So as a kid, that was a pretty big deal getting to go up in there and stand on top and watch out at Farley. That was probably first race experience as a kid on Farley, and then obviously Lancaster was a big one on Saturday nights back when they were running. That was still my favorite track to this day, probably. But
Nice.
I love running Lancaster. Lancaster's a blast.
it is. It's probably the best facility, best pit area. And
Oh yeah.
the racing's always really, really good, I think.
Well, you had a really good run at it with this last year, was it, or the year before?
2 years ago. I
2
think.
years ago.
Yeah.
You and Hoffman come down the last lap, basically.
Yeah, that was probably the best race of the night. Was the race between him and I at the end there. But
It definitely wasn't mine. That night I led the whole thing and then broke at the last lap or something like that.
Yeah.
Heartbreak Hotel.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, what got you into racing?
I would say that I loved watching and always wanted to be a part of it. And I was lucky. Went to school with some guys that raced. Matt and Jack Jewison. back. Their parents owned Sloan's in Cuba City,
Gotcha.
and I was friends with Matt and Jack both, and I helped them on the weekends. I pitted for them, and they kind of put a car together and let me drive it for like half a season, and then from then on, I was pretty well hooked, pretty hard.
There you go. What type of car was it?
It was a 4-door Dodge Neon.
There you go. Yeah.
Black and yellow, John Deere yellow, CB&C stickers all over it.
Nice.
Really nice. Really nice.
I always say those Neons, once you get them set up where you like them, it's pretty smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And back then, I don't know what it's like now. I've been out of the Neon for so long, but about any junkyard in the area had axles, and control arms, and $30 here.
I know a guy.
Yeah, once you got them thing kind of dialed into where you liked them, they were really easy to drive. And
the best thing is the tricks were pretty similar to what they were when you started, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The guy who gave me some tricks of the trade for the Neons, he got those tricks like when they first started racing the Neons. So
yeah, back in the day, I mean, the Neon was, you had guys like John Fleury, bless their heart, Jeremy Campbell was super fast in one, Josh Chambers, Jewison guys, they were super fast. Seemed like anywhere they went too. It didn't matter if it was Dubuque, Macopa, to Farley. They were the thing to have. And back then, like you said, the tricks and the trades, or whether you were cheating or not, you had to spend a lot of time, money, and effort just to finish in the top 5 back then. It was tough. It was tough.
Well, the money side of it hasn't got any better. I will tell you that. Especially with the Hondas joining in the field.
Oh yeah.
You got to spend twice as much as.
Is VTEC legal?
Yeah.
And is it now?
Yep.
That'd be
I think
tough.
the CRXs or the Honda thing that was outlawed back then is the only thing that's outlawed at Darlington for cars.
That VTEC is quite an advantage because it hits a certain RPM and then it
opens up the cam bigger.
Yep.
But it's also a downfall though.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it for the speed. They got a lot of speed in the straight stretches. But they've got nothing in the corner, no torque.
No torque.
Because the torque is at high end RPMs.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That makes sense.
So until that VTEC kicks in, got nothing. Well, not necessarily nothing. They're there. If you can get in the corner without sliding up, you're fine. You get out. It'll dig you out of the hole. But where that's a Neon is constant torque.
Yeah.
So anytime your foot's on that pedal, it's pulling.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that was one of my questions coming up. What kinds of cars have you raced all over the board?
I've raced mainly the Neon, Sport Mod, which I'm still driving now. Just really those two things of all I've driven as far as race car stuff, I guess. Haven't really raced anything else. Actually, funny, I guess you could say where my career started. At Intermission in Lancaster, they used to race lawnmowers on the front stretch. And my dad's used to have like lawnmower repair shop in town, so he kind of knew all the tricks of the trades of messing with the governor and souping them up and stuff. So kind of started racing lawnmowers before 4-cylinders, I guess. But
there you go.
But as far as cars, just a bunch of Neons, and then I've been through a couple different chassis in the Sport Mod. I started with it was a home built car back when I think like in 2010 when they brought that E-Mod class to Darlington, first year for that. Kim Wilson actually gave me his car to drive for the whole season, my first year in the car, and he's been a huge help from then till now too. So probably wouldn't be in a mod now if it wasn't for him. After that, I went to a stealth car. Had a really bad wreck at Farley at one of the Yankees. I don't remember what year it was, but total back car. After that, I ended up in a Skyrocket. Drove that for a handful of years, had really good luck with that, and then just moved on to a newer car. Went to a Victory chassis and drove that for 2 years, I believe. And then hooked up with the guys at Shaw down at Super Nationals. Became a dealer for them in 2020, and had about 4 cars from them now, and here we are.
They seem to perform pretty well then for you.
Yeah, I would say I got one win in the Sport Mod with the Skyrocket. We were somewhat competitive in it. We weren't lighting the world on fire at all. Not that we are now either, but from the help from those guys, and I do work with Andy Eckert from Precision Performance quite a bit too, as far as shock program goes. He does help us set up stuff too, but when we went to that shock car, it seemed like, I don't know, there was another light lit or something. We were way more competitive once we started working with those guys.
Yeah.
So really, really happy with how that's going so far, and hopefully it keeps getting better. It seems like it's gotten better every year with them. So
Well, it almost seems like if nothing touches the car, you're up front for the most part.
yeah,
Within the top 4 cars ish.
Yeah, I mean, this past year, 24 was probably the best year we had. I mean, when you're running Darlington or Dubuque, it seems like you're racing against the fast guys all the time. Like Darlington, you got Stam, Hoffman, Jason Rolfe sometimes comes over there, Tyler Sapi, and I mean, a lot of them guys go to Dubuque too. So you're racing against Jarrett Franzen. Sorry, I forgot another one too.
Can't forget him.
No, I know it. There's so many second places to that guy, him and Stam. But yeah, it seems like the sport mod class is very competitive, and I've got a good group of guys that help me too, and sponsors obviously too. But without their help, I wouldn't be scratching first places and running up front with the rest of them for sure.
Definitely pay to play is what you're going to hear a lot, right?
That's true. That is true.
So I kind of been working with Charlie Spry does my stats for me when I look up past stats, and he talked to you a little bit.
Yep.
The reason why he talked to you is because of this. I asked him.
Yeah.
So we see you got 2 wins at Darlington total, right?
Total, yeah.
I can't believe that. It's crazy. I feel like you had to have had someone.
I've been
somewhere.
Been so close so many times. If you could find the stats, I would like to see how many second places. Because there's so many nights where I get up behind Stam and follow him around. I just can't get around him, or I get behind Franzen and I'm right on his bumper. But then at the end, it just seems like I'm always right, super close to being
right there.
But I think, like I said, the competition over there. I think there's 5, maybe even 6 guys that could win any night over there. So
it's crazy.
You got to have your ducks in a row, and I think the best race of the year almost was me and that Bennett. I always forget his first name.
Shane Bennett.
Yep.
I
think he beat me by like 0.0024.
That was the night he got his first win.
Yeah.
That was super close. I remember.
That was a fun race because it seemed like I would gain a little bit on 1 and 2, then I wouldn't see him until we're coming out of 4, and then he would be just ahead of me a little bit coming out of 4, and I'm like, dang it, kid. But he's a clean racer, and he's really good at wheeling the car. So I was really happy to see him get that win, and I'm sure getting it that way was probably a big deal for him too.
Makes it feel better being in that kind of fight for that.
Yeah.
That's actually Matt Bennett's brother. That's who Shane Bennett is. Yep.
Okay.
And so you got 1 in the 4-cylinder at Darlington.
Yep.
When did that come about, you think?
Oh, man.
I should have asked Charlie that.
I would say maybe 09, and actually it was a motor I borrowed from Josh Chambers.
Oh, there you go.
I think I blew one up or something, and he borrowed me I think I won with his motor in Darlington, and a few weeks later, I think I won with it in Dubuque too.
Oh, jeez.
There you go.
I still got one of his motors later on.
I hold on to it.
Yeah.
And they're all legal too, right, Josh?
Well, I don't mind it. We've had it apart a couple times. Funny thing is, he sold it with that car, my car.
Did he?
He sold it with that motor. Dylan didn't like it, so Dylan took it out of the car, put it in the shed. Then he gave it to Eric. Eric put it in the shed and sat there for 7 years. And then Eric gave it to me because my primary had an issue.
Oh, shoot.
And then this is the one that gets me, though. You just got your first Darlington win this past season.
I know.
In the sport mod.
It's great. It's crazy to think that.
Wow.
I know I got 1 win when they were technically E-mods in Darlington. But, yeah, it's...
we'll count that. That's 3 wins.
But I think it was my wife that brought it up, or somebody asked her that, he's probably won here before, hasn't he? We're like, no, he's not in a sport mod, never won over there. Because, like I said,
crazy.
Kyle Hoffman and Bennett, Jared Franzen, Jason Roth usually was there. So and Jason, or Jared Franzen's third in national points, was a podium for Super Nationals and stuff. So racing against these guys, they're some of the best guys in the nation almost.
For sure.
Racing against them weekly, it's tough to get wins over there.
That's pretty insane. I know for a long time, if Hoffman was in Victory Lane, it was Rowe. And then they started coming in down from Illinois, and it's just crazy how much it's just grown and grown the more people there.
It is crazy. It's got to be fun for the fans to watch too. That five guys fighting for. Stuff gets heated too. It's racing, bumping and banging happens as much as you don't want it to.
A couple incidents that they didn't like this year, but
yeah, as Matt Chris would say, it is what it is.
And he's a good guy to set people straight too, isn't he?
I don't know anybody that's really going to start an argument with him.
No. And when he's yelling at you, you better just shut up and listen.
Just get your listening ears on when he's yelling at you.
Yeah. And as long as you're respectful, he'll usually look at you and go, all right then, I got my point across, we're good. So, were you always 42?
Yeah, I've been 40. Probably get made fun of a little bit for this, but I was a diehard Jeff Gordon fan all the way from grade school on, and when I started playing Pee Wee football, couldn't be number 40 or 24. They were all high numbered or something weird like that. So I'm like, 42, and
there you go.
That was my high school football number, basketball number, and just it kind of stuck, I guess.
Perfect. Better be careful. Those are kind of fighting words.
I was just gonna say I'm probably in the wrong shed to be admitting that.
No. And then eventually you got your own parts trailer for a little while.
Yeah.
With your business.
Yep, that was so I've ran the detailing business since 2014. 2019 I actually Siggy's Racing Products was in business for a long time.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact year that they
19.
shut down. I think it was 18 or 19.
18 or 19 because my first year I went down and bought a bunch of stuff before he closed.
Yep.
That was right when I started.
Yep. And I kind of felt like maybe there was a void to fill there, so kind of took a chance, and was selling parts and fuel, and I was the parts trailer and raced at Macokota. That's back when Farley raced on Wednesday nights, so I was the parts trailer there, and then on Sundays in Dubuque. So on top of racing 2 or 3 nights a week myself, I was the parts trailer, and then later on in 2020, the year after, the second year of doing it, I became a Shaw dealer. And I think I sold 6 cars that first year. So between selling 6 cars and putting my own together, and got really, really, really busy. So I do think a lot of people took Siggy's Racing Products for granted because on a Saturday or whatnot, it's kind of tough to. I know you can always order whatever you want from Performance online, and have it, but having that guy in town was, I do think a lot of people took him for granted.
Yeah.
But
just seeing how high you had to stack yourself up with stuff to do.
Yeah, it was crazy getting 2 trailers ready to go for the weekend instead of just one. Then you got to have 2 trucks to pull 2 trailers, and then we had our first kid back then too. So juggling. And
you're working a regular job on top of it.
Working full time on top of it. It was a lot. So
I remember I came and helped out a little bit when you were there, just in between jobs kind of thing, and I was crazy just seeing how much was going on.
It's crazy, and bless my wife's heart that she loves me so much because it's a lot on her too, being with the kids all the a little bit more than obviously I am, working 2 jobs like that. So, but without her support, I would have never agreed to try it. And I do got to say, one of my best friends, Nick Haberlin, that he's my crew chief, my best friend. Having his help, if I didn't have his help either, it wouldn't be possible. And he's usually on board with all my crazy ideas.
There you go.
For the most part. So big thanks to him, because he's a diehard race fan too. But any of these crazy parts trailer ideas and chassis brand switches and stuff, he's never usually asks. He's usually all in. So
nice. You're doing a lot of stuff. I mean, you're from building cars to building pit carts and
Yeah, the pick guard thing was kind of, I wanted one for myself because just I didn't want to. It's always nice to have the tools right out by your car, and I'm like, oh, if I can wrap it in aluminum and doll it up and kind of make it look nice. And I had 3 or 4 guys that wanted them, so I kind of started building a couple of them. And for what I mean, they're not going to be like your $3,000 pick cart you buy from pickcarts.com or nothing like that. But
get the job done for you.
yeah, I mean, just
exactly.
Tried to convince Dad on one, but
it's the biggest thing is you get so many tools laid out at the racetrack, and if you don't have at least even like a cart to wheel out there, you set a 9/16 or a half or a 1-inch socket down, and then it gets lost, or if it gets to go back in the trailer. If you got a cart like chest level, it's just way easier to. Even if you're just setting it on there and going to do something else, it should never get lost as long as it's in the cart.
Usually,
yeah.
That you're not making a million trips in and out of the trailer.
Oh yeah, how many trips in and out of the trailer?
So,
the people that know me know I'm the most probably unorganized individual on this earth. So having that pick cart with the drawers labeled and then the side cabinet has like all the main stuff you need right away is it's helpful for everybody.
Right. So if somebody wanted to just start one of those parts stores, what would you give them? Because I'm sure there's people in other towns and stuff wanting to get into that. Pretty.
As far as the parts trailer business,
their parts, or even just a store part side of it, or
it's a big commitment for sure. And the one thing you have to know, you're never going to have everything that everybody wants.
Yep, always.
The fast moving stuff is something, you try to keep on the shelf. Rivets are a big one. And then with that being said, rivets sell at different times of the year too, right? Like a lot of people are building cars in the winter. Not a lot of people are needing rivets in the summertime. Another thing I would say, don't go crazy on it. Don't go broke trying to stock stuff that everybody, one person needs one ball joint. Don't go order 3 more of those.
Right.
Because the price margin and the percentage of the markup on it is so hard to make a ton of money off it. You can make money on it. I'm not saying that. And it's not why I got out of it. I wanted to focus more on racing, but I don't know, my kids are getting older and playing soccer, and they're super fun to hang out with. So
exactly.
And they love going to the races too. They got their separate bag that's for just going to the races only. So that stays in the trailer, and it's a lot of fun. But getting into the parts thing, my favorite story I always use is tear offs, right? Everybody usually, myself, I've forgotten them at home, and I run over to the parts trailer, and you take one with you, and then the guy is trying to do it as fast as he can to get you back. And I remember being at Macokota, a customer came up and they needed tear offs, and they had the helmet, and I'd never heard of the helmet before, but it had a different visor on it or something. And I probably had 6 different styles and lengths and whatever. Didn't have one for him, and I'm like, man. So I had 2 people come up to me, and I didn't have tear offs, and I kind of felt silly, so went home and I ordered every tear off on the screen, every one. And it wasn't like tear offs aren't crazy expensive, but went back to Macokota that next week. That kid came back up, his helmet. He's like, "Did you get any in?" I said, "You bet." I said, "I ordered every one there is." Went up there, still didn't have the right one. So that's the tough thing, is you're never going to have everything that somebody wants, and it is a big commitment. It's a big commitment for sure. But.
So with being with Shaw, you got your annual open house coming up.
Yep.
It's a couple weeks from now?
Yeah, a couple weeks. I told you I've been at my shop since 4 o'clock this morning. Just trying to we're finishing a customer car and trying to get my car ready too. But yeah, the 14th is actually my open house. We kind of switched it up this year. It's usually on Saturday, but Shaw race cars are actually coming up to my shop that Saturday, and we're putting on a chassis school that whole day Saturday. There's about 10 spots left, so it filled up a lot quicker than I thought it would. But yeah, the open house is a big thing to me. I try to discount stuff as much as I can to try to help the racer, because I'm one myself too. So if I can try to the tire discount is a big one for mod guys. I don't carry late model tires anymore, but the tires is a big one. And my wife and her mother, my mother-in-law, they do an excellent job with the food.
I've been there a couple times.
There you go. Right.
Yeah, so it's one thing I don't have to worry about, but they do. She does a really good job with it, and I've got a bunch of free stuff. All Star Performance donated a bunch of hats, and there's some giveaways and some raffle stuff. So
right.
I am excited for that. I know changing it up, putting it on Friday might be a little bit of a dampener, but I'm starting it at 1:00 Friday, and it'll go till 7 or 8:00 to hopefully grab some people getting off work that want to stop in for a sandwich or something. So moving it to Friday, I understand, probably going to be a little bit of a pinch for some people that would normally come on Saturday when it's an all-day thing. But if you can't make it Friday, my office part of the shop will still be open. So if for some reason you couldn't make it Friday night, I get it. Everybody works late, different hours and stuff. So Saturday morning or Saturday all day, the office will be open. So if you didn't get rivets or a sheet of aluminum or something on Saturday, I'll be there. Somebody will be there. We can get you what you need on Saturday.
There you go.
There you go.
Now Johnny here, he's going to be getting that old sucker out there, rear-wheel drive. Got any advice for him coming up?
Oh gosh, a lot of laps.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
As much as you can get in that seat. That's the biggest thing I would say. When I first started in a 4-cylinder, I'd never raced nothing before either, and they had told me like, "Well, go to practice." And back when I first started, and I know Kyle Hoffman or any of them guys can tell you, there wasn't a lot of testing tools.
Right.
Like right now, we're super lucky that Dubuque has test sessions usually every Tuesday, or I think it's every Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep. It used to be Thursday, and then it moved to Tuesday.
So we're super lucky to have that, because back when I first started racing, you got hot laps and then you're heat racing. You got one test and two, and if it didn't rain out, which it always rains.
Always rains out. Yep.
Yeah.
I think I made it to 2 of them.
So I would, for me to you, I would, if you can get to a test session, that's not saying every single week, but if you, I know because it costs money, you go down the road and put fuel in the car too, so you got to spend within your means. But if you can get as much time in that seat, I know when I first started driving an E-mod or a sport mod, back that they still didn't have test sessions back then, so I would I'm a field filler in Dubuque, but at least I can still get some seat time. So that's the biggest thing that helps. You can have the most expensive shocks out there, Weir's bird cages, and all that really nice stuff, which is really nice to have.
Yeah.
But the practice time and getting in that seat is a huge thing.
Right.
Huge.
I tell everybody, you don't got to worry about me. I'm going to be so far behind, it's not even be funny. I might be so far behind, I'm a danger to the leader that I am the back guy.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
But and then I kind of was, you were saying, I was telling Manny last week, Jason said that this motor might beat your car. I was like, yeah, but the driver's got to beat the driver, not the other way around.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
So what are your thoughts on the podcast? I know you've watched a couple times.
I think I've watched every one, I think. I do think it's cool because there's a lot of people. I'm not a real big name guy, but as you go on.
Well, around here, I think you are.
But I think a lot of people like to hear from us and kind of like how we got to where we're at. And some people maybe are afraid to approach us. I know when I was going to sound really silly here, but I remember going back to Farley, watching, as a kid back then, Danny Shellum was pretty unstoppable out at Farley in the late model. And I remember my dad, I'm 5 or 6 years old, and I thought I acted as if I was going up to meet a NASCAR driver because I was so afraid to talk to him or nothing. He put me in his seat and let me sit in his car and stuff. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think you'll get a lot of people tuning in you getting some race car drivers, or even maybe their crew guys too, or something. I think it'll get bigger, keep getting bigger and bigger.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're hoping for. We're trying to get quality better, and it's kind of funny though the way you said you were nervous. That's how I was. I went and met Tim Nash last year with Blade.
Oh yeah.
And when I went back there, I'm an adult. I get it, it's a little bit bigger stage than Farley or Darlington or whatever.
Right.
but he's just a local guy anywhere else. He's got a YouTube channel, but he's a local guy.
Yeah.
I walked past him 2-3 times before he even said anything to him.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what about it, but
Yeah, and the second time he picked you right out of that crowd. He's like, "Get over here."
yeah, the second time I walked past him once, kind of looked over. He was doing a video. He put the camera down and hey, come on over. Talk to him then.
Yeah,
I think it's a cool. When you first started doing it, I'm like, this thing might be kind of cool. And I remember, like you said, the first episode, I saw all the comments and stuff too. It was a little long, but you know, like anybody's first time racing, you know, it's not too often somebody straps into a race car and wins a feature their first night out. So it's I don't know, it's something different, not your normal thing you see on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're scrolling through stuff, so it's definitely cool. Definitely cool.
So I'm kind of curious, how many tracks have you? We'll say how many tracks have you raced at, and then we'll even up it to how many have you been to.
Boy. Oh, that's a good question. I would guess maybe 10. Maybe I feel like I've been to a lot of racetracks, from
Right.
NASCAR tracks to dirt tracks, motocross tracks, if that counts.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to some of that stuff. I've been to a lot of racetracks. I've probably only raced, say, Darlington, Dubuque, Macokota, Independence, Farley, West Liberty, Marshalltown, Boone, Stewart, Monticello. There might be more I can't think of. I would guess I've raced at 10 or 12 different ones. Maybe.
Got any crazy favorite moments of any of them that you can think of?
I'd go back to 2 years ago at Lancaster. That me and in racing you got to have your rivals, right? Like, I think me and Kyle have been battling for a while, and it's just because we're both so competitive. I think But I've been wanting to win that fair race since I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
So I put every ounce of anything I had into there, and my wife and both my kids were there. So that was probably my all time favorite one. Other than that, I got my first actual I think it was my first actual sport mod win in Dubuque was on Father's Day.
Oh,
my dad was there,
that's
so
pretty
that
cool.
Perfect.
that was my favorite one up until winning in Lancaster.
That Lancaster one was nuts. I remember you had the one line for longest time, then you came down because Kyle showed you the door. He took the good line for like a lap, and you popped back up there.
Yeah, that was it was so weird after you cross the finish line. You stay on the gas and roll through, and like I'm driving down the backstretch, and my guys are on the fence because I was running the high side, and I just drove to the middle or to the bottom because the race was over, and like 2 or 3 of my guys are like, "Tell me, go up," and I'm like, "The race is over." But yeah, from watching the stands, that had to have been when I got out. The crowd was insanely loud because I've seen some videos and stuff, and it was a really good race.
Oh yeah,
to watch on the side of the fence.
Chuck put just the last lap up, and that was enough to be like glued to it. And from his angle, you couldn't tell who won. It was
close. I knew Kyle was right there, but I'm like, I'm not going to drive him up into the. I want to win this, more than anything, but I'm not going to drive him into the fence to get it. So
yeah,
it was. I knew it was super close. So
there's plenty of respect given in that race. There was probably half a car in between you two.
That might have been
space wise.
Might have been tighter than that.
Yeah, it looked close. It looked like more space in the video anyway. But I know there's people that you give more room to, and people you're gonna, like you said, rivals. You're gonna kind of squeeze a little bit because you gotta get that little extra distance. But
that's for sure.
We're only at 31 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Covered a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, we're moving pretty quick and got a lot of information. What was I gonna say? I had a question lined up.
It was the follow up on the how many races has he watched as well.
Oh yeah. So you ever been to a Cup Series race or?
I never have. I've always wanted to go. It just
Xfinity style, and
I'd love to go. And I know, like my dad has always wanted to go to one too. And I've talked to people, and everybody tells me Michigan, and some people tell me Bristol Night Race. So I'm going to go to one. It's just
That Iowa Speedway is a good one.
that's what I've heard. And
I watched the Xfinity. We went down for the Xfinity race last year.
Oh yeah.
And I want to go up to the Cup race down there because the
Yeah.
Xfinity race was cool.
I love watching. I love watching any kind of race, whether it's Xfinity, Truck Series. The Truck Series have been really freaking awesome to watch this year from what I've watched. It's been, but yeah, I definitely want to go to one. Just kind of sucks that it's like right in the same. It's the same season as racing
So we're
cars.
racing already.
I know that's what's so tough, but
Last year was painfully. We were painfully tired last year.
yeah.
We raced Friday night. We immediately hopped in the car, loaded up the car. Mom and Dad took the car home. We hopped in our car and drove all the way down to a hotel down by the racetrack. Then we drove about a half hour to the racetrack the next day and watched the race. She fell asleep halfway through and woke up. So if you're wondering if you can fall asleep at a NASCAR race,
Oh, you sure
yes,
can.
yes, you can. It wasn't because it was boring to watch. It was because just that exhausting.
That's a lot of hours in the car.
And it's crazy what they got. It's not just you go to a race and watch a race. They got it's like you're at a fair almost.
That's it.
We went to the racer experience or whatever they call it, and they got simulators there. They got a concert on the stage. They've got vendors upon vendors of food and drinks, and it's crazy. We're down there in the pit in the NASCAR experience. It was like $1 for a beer.
Yep.
And
Stay there for a while.
Did he get it? No. But then you get up in the stands and it's like $8 for a beer or whatever. It's not terrible. Go to an NFL game and
I've been to a bunch of Packer games. I've probably been to 15 of them.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll rob you blind. That's for sure.
There's so many people I've talked to about the NASCAR deal. A couple from Cuba City. He got NASCAR tickets like every year for the company he worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife hated NASCAR, hated watching it, didn't think nothing of it, and he got her to go to the NASCAR race. She said she had the time of her life. She loved it, the experience, and like you said, the fan zone, and they were there for 3 nights: the truck race, Xfinity, and the NASCAR. And
that would be cool.
yeah, she said she's not a race fan, but she said she'd go back.
Nice.
She had a blast.
There you go.
So eventually, I'm going to go to one. I just have to, like anything else that you're going to do, you just have to nail down a date and say we're going.
Yep.
That's
Make plans and don't back out kind of deal. And what about you gone down to the Dome at all for that?
I went to the Dome the very first year they had it.
Yep.
Oh.
My dad, it was my dad, my T-shirt guy Corey Hallahan, and there was just a van full of us that went down because it was the first one.
Yep.
We were all jacked up for it, and it was awesome. But they didn't have the garage door open, garage door shut deal figured out yet. So the first night, I remember, we probably looked like we were stoned or hammered drunk because our eyes were so.
Oh yeah.
Like
my
dad actually got not puking sick, but he got kind of sick the first night, and I'm like, oh, man, he ain't gonna make it the next night. But the final night when they did the last chance stuff or whatever, they had it figured out. They'd run 3 or 4 heat races, open the door, and all the stuff. But it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, they got that figured out now for sure. Because you can walk through the pits and you don't
smell it.
Don't smell. They let you start warm up your cars by sections. Like, hey, if you're in grid 1, start your cars now. And you run it. And grid 1, shut your cars off. Grid 2, you can start your cars.
That would be
kind of deal.
I would definitely go back. It just seemed like after the first one, the next year I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on a hotel and this and that. And then after that, I got so busy in the off season building cars, and
you never really had time.
I didn't really. It's kind of a bad time of the year, unfortunately. But no, it was super cool. It's no racing anywhere really going on in December, so if you can watch late models and modifieds getting the heck after it, it's. I wish they'd bring those midgets back.
They were the most.
They were the most fun to watch on the side of there. Almost nothing against late model guys, but those midgets put on a heck of a show.
And they're used to the close quarters kind of deal.
Yep.
Whereas the late models are more used to a 3/8 or half
mile.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
And
for sure.
We thought it was nuts. And this year, I didn't even notice what you were saying. They opened up the garage doors around there. Amber and I were sitting up in there, and I look across. And the main gate over there, you can see open up, people walking across the street and everything. Like, whoa!
That's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yes. There are people walking, and I'm like, if I heard a race going on, I'd be like, What's
Get in
going
there.
on in there? Finding a way to get in there.
For sure.
But definitely, if you're going to go there, I'd say pit passes are the best thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, meeting anybody from just your typical driver at home that got voted in, or the big drivers are cool to see too.
I think I'd definitely go back for sure.
I'm very jealous of you, though. You got to see the Bloomquist run there.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really wanted to go. We went there last year. And of course, he was sick.
Yeah.
So he wasn't there. And then, of course, he passed away this year, so we didn't get to see him this year. There was a ton of Bloomquist cars there this year.
When I was there, he was on that little scooter thing,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
tooling around on that. It's kind of cool.
Because we really wanted to meet him because my dad's friend that he met later on in life actually was one of Bloomquist's pit crew guys.
Oh, really?
For a long time before he moved away or stopped coming around here.
Yep.
But yeah, so we were always, as soon as I locked onto dirt racing, that was all. Earnhart's my NASCAR guy,
Yeah,
Bloomquist's my
the
dirt guy. I feel like that's probably half of the racers out there.
Yeah.
It's easier for me, like what you said. Pretty easy because Kyle Larson is probably one of the best guys on dirt, and arguably one of the better guys on the Cup Series.
He can win just about anything.
Yep.
And we've said that on our Raceline Roulette.
Yep.
He can win just about anywhere. You get him picked anywhere but the biggest
Yep.
loser, you're probably.
Yeah, he's sure. It sure seems like he can wheel anything.
Have you seen that yet? The Raceline Roulette thing we have in our second session, or?
I watched the last one. I think can't remember where you picked the beer or not the beers thing.
You pick the drivers and
Yep.
what do you think of that game? It's kind of neat.
It's
It takes
kinda,
the picking it out of there.
It does.
And you don't know what you end up. This one was.
Yeah.
This one come down to a coin flip at the
Yeah.
end because
really?
we ended up tying. Well, we'll say that in the second segment, but yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. Whereas if you pick your favorite driver, now you're like, oh, okay,
Married to him.
yeah.
Yep.
This one, I don't know who some of the guys are. And Blade,
Yeah, I
Blade doesn't watch it, so he doesn't know any of them.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce their names half the time.
But yeah, we'll have to have you on here again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate
It was
it.
a blast.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for coming on. And
Enjoyed it a lot.
this has been episode 7 of Beers and Gears.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Blade.
This has been Wes Digman. See ya.
See ya.